Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary. It is Wednesday after lunch and I'm going to take a break from working on the batch of mandolins and put a K&K pure acoustic pickup in this guitar for a fella. He brought it in, he brought the pickup in, just needs me to install it, so I'll do that. And that'll make a nice break in the middle of the week, and then we'll be able to go back to the batch of mandolins, which I will bring you up to date with right after I get this done. These are the pickups. They will be glued basically underneath the saddle there, and this will come back and be inserted into the end pin hole, and you'll just plug your jack in right there. Okay, that job is done. I've called the customer and he's going to come and pick it up this afternoon. And so now we can move back into the big room. All right, here in the big room, several projects going at one time. One of the projects are these necks with this Pennsylvania board, and I'm gluing the ears on. Now, a square neck like this has to have some ears glued on because this neck, blank stock, is not as wide, obviously, as a mandolin peg head, and so we need to add what is known as peghead ears. Now, I make these surfaces to glue, and I mark them. As you can see, I have an X and an O, so that I know not to do them this way, because this surface has been mated with that surface with a lot of attention paid to being square and flat, machine shop flat and everything, so that there's no stress when we glue these boards. We're not going to glue these boards and pull them into place. They're just going to go in and be held on with the glue, but we're not going to have to bend this board any at all to mate with that. It's just going to go. Now, I'm going to show you this jig that I use to do that with, and it's simply just a board with tape put on it, and we're going to spread the glue, put our pieces together, and then screw this board down on them to keep them all level, and not so that they'll do that or this or whatever, so that they'll all stay lined up. And then we're going to clamp them up and take them back out of the jig just to make sure that everything worked. Now, hopefully that'll make sense when you see it happen. So everything here has been prepared and it is ready for the glue. So let's just do that. I'll just glue this piece together and these pieces together, and you can watch. X to X, O to O. Whoops, O to O. See there how easy it is to mess something up? everything down there pretty flat. You can hear a lot of highway noise in this video, I'm sure. It's a constant problem here to shoot video with cars going by. Alright, so hopefully on the face of this peghead everything's level. And we are going to take it out of the jig because the clamps will hold it wherever it's at. We're going to take it out and just check and make sure that there's nothing gone wrong. Keep a wet rag here, and an extra clamp, just in case I feel like something needs to be pulled together. And I do feel like that needs just a little extra help here. There we go. So I can't hardly feel that joint at all. We're really close. Maybe just a quick little sanding on it after everything dries, and we are glued together. I'm going to set this off to the side, and you have to clean your jig just about every time, and that's why I have that packing tape on there. Now I use a very similar method to do a job that I haven't showed you yet. So we are going to step over here to the other corner of the shop, and I'm going to show you some peghead overlays that I've been working on for 15 or 20 minutes every morning for about a month now. So let me tell you the story behind what we're getting ready to look at here. And these are peghead veneers. These are the very thin pieces of wood that are eventually going to go on the face of the peghead of the mandolin. Now, I burn firewood here in the winter, and so I was cutting up firewood, some maple and some walnut mostly, and I found just some spectacular figured pieces of wood. And the maple was spalted and like crotch wood and all those kind of things. And so I thought, man, this stuff is just too cool to burn in the fireplace. Look at that. I'll show you a good close-up of this stuff here in a few minutes. But so I'm splitting this firewood up, and I thought, I cannot burn this. I have got to try to save this. So pretty and so cool. So I started pulling it out and slicing it up, matching the pieces, you know, and thought, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make veneer? Because I really don't have that kind of facility and all that sort of thing. But I took just an old beat up piece of 1/4" plywood and routed out a little edge so that these pieces can go in here, and I run them through my thickness sander, and then when they're done, as these are, but they're still awaiting this, I made a bigger one, and I'll run that through my thickness sander as well, and maybe I'll show some footage of that maybe when we get that far along. So you can just see what sort of, how beautiful that will be. Now I glue these things together because they're thin and they're flimsy and they're hard to clamp and everything, and with a fixture and a jig, very similar to what you just got through watching gluing those peghead ears on. Let me show you. Now this thing is a very similar thing to what you just got through watching, like I said, on the peghead ears instead of the other kind of clamps. I have some slots cut down in the table, which you'll be able to see better in just a minute, and these squeeze clamps. I have 2 bars, and I really don't need to take this thing back out to double check because we're going to run it through the sander and everything again. When this thing comes apart, you'll be able to see it's really not working mechanisms, but you'll really be able to see kind of what I'm talking about. Now, isn't that just the most gorgeous thing? And these holes here are cut so that these clamps here will just slide in and come in like that. And so that's how this is. I'll take 2 pieces, spread the glue, clean everything up, make sure they're ready to go, and 2 pieces. I usually put what I expect to be the face part down, and then swing that over, screw them down, squeeze them together, bang, and then come back and do the same thing in the morning. Usually takes about 10 minutes. And I've done that, and I think I'm going to wind up, I've got about 30 of them done so far, and I think I'm going to wind up with about 40 altogether. So I'm just about done with this project, and of course they'll all need to be sanded and gotten ready to glue on these peg heads. But boy, I tell you what, that's really going to be an attractive thing, I think, when we get that far along. Well, as always, before you blink, it's Friday and it's Friday morning. I have to leave a little early today, so I thought I'd go ahead and shoot this ending part of the video. I'll take you into the big room and show you how much I got done up till now and what I intend to do for the rest of the day as long as I'm working. So let's go in the big room. This is mandolin number 2 in the batch. It has all of the black, white, black inner strips glued in, and it has the first big piece of white outside binding, and my intentions today are to get this inner white thing on the scroll glued on, and this part of this tip glued on, and I'll call it a day on that and pick up the rest of it next week. So mandolin number 2. Mandolin number 3, which is the mandolin that has the board that come from Pennsylvania. These are the necks that come out of mandolin number 3, and the peghead ears are now glued on all of them. Now it'll be time to sand all of the surfaces and make sure that these lengths are exactly what they're supposed to be and all like that, and pick one of them out for the customer. We'll pick the curliest one of the bunch or the nicest one, whatever determines which is going to be the best neck out of those 5 for mandolin number 3. Mandolin number 4, which doesn't have a top yet, but hopefully we'll get to that next week, is the sides are bent, all of the blocks are glued in, the curtain's in, it's ready to have the top glued on. So Like I said, hopefully we can address that issue next week. I also have the neck glued in one of the A-style extra mandolins, and it simply is awaiting the kerfing, and it's a nice, it's got a curly maple neck, but it's got bird's eye back inside, so it should be pretty mandolin when we're done with it. And that's simply awaiting me to put the kerfing in and glue that back on. It's one of the extra A's. So, that's pretty much it as far as reportable progress this week. I come back each and every week to see how much more progress we can make in the next episode of the Ratliff Mandolins Weekly Production Diary. I certainly thank you guys for sticking with me to the very end. Hit the like and subscribe button, tell all your friends, all that sort of thing, and we look for you in the future. Bye.